Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of November 3rd to November 9th, 2024, where I take a look at a couple of stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion of them. And we got 4 stories to cover this week, including Nintendo supposedly talking about, the relationship with third-party developers, especially with the eventual reveal of the Switch 2 or the Switch successor. An unexpected surprise to see on the Xbox systems, Death Stranding actually making its appearance, which is kind of surprising to a lot of folks out there, though. A reveal that shows basically in terms of basically talking about, plans to when they are planning to reveal the Switch and everything like that. And basically, Nintendo has released their financial report and everything. If you're interested where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video. And if there's any parts of this video you wish to click to, I'll have timestamps in the description as well, or you can see it in the beginning of this video, though. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details or anything like that. The first one has to do with the upcoming game LEGO Horizon Adventures, which is the LEGO take on the Horizon series that Sony is well known for, that's coming on to the PC, PlayStation, and the Nintendo Switch. For what has been told in terms of how long to beat the game and how long it is, it's supposedly going to be 6 hours in general for the story, and about 15 hours for completeness for those who are trying to find everything in the game and everything like that. Some might be okay with it being that long. Others may have a different view on that. But in either case, those who are curious about how long the LEGO Horizon Adventure game is, that's pretty much how long the length of the game is going to be. We also learned that Xenoblade Chronicles X, that was announced last week, that will be coming to the Nintendo Switch in March, has over 1 million views on YouTube so far. So clearly, a lot of people, clearly there are those who are looking forward to seeing this game when it comes out in March. Indeed, it's been one of the requested games, basically, that people would have liked to, I would say one of the many games that have been requested that they would like to see basically come over to the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, like I said last week, the Switch has now the entire Xenoblade Chronicles library on that system. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that game will do, especially since we'll have to know when the Switch 2 eventually comes out, and if it is, whether or not it basically, assuming the game can play on the Switch 2, whether or not there'll be any enhancements or anything like that. We also learned that one of Xbox's long-running series so far could be making the jump to the PS5. According to some reports, there's been some data that's been found that could point to Age of Empires making its way to the PS5. No word at this time whether or not Microsoft will bring that game over at this moment, and it remains to be seen if there is a certain red line on what games may or may not make their way over to other systems. So time will only tell if that is the case, but so far there is a possibility that basically Age of Empire could make its way over to the PS5 in general. Whether that game does well or not, if it does come to the PS5, whether it does well or not on that system, that remains to be seen. We also learned during Nintendo's financial report that they showed that series like Metroid and Xenoblade Chronicles have seen rapid growth on the Nintendo Switch compared to where it was with the Wii U. Now, granted, Metroid was not available on the Wii U. Xenoblade Chronicle X, on the other hand, was, and it seems to be that the Xenoblade Chronicles series has found successes on the Nintendo Switch and everything like that. So, certainly, that's very nice to see that the games have done very well on the Nintendo Switch. Here's to hoping they continue to see rapid growth when the Switch 2 and the Switch successor comes out. And hopefully this opens the door to seeing some other IPs from Nintendo see some growth. Like, I would like to see Kid Icarus or Star Fox getting another shot and everything like that. Maybe they could find success on the Nintendo's Switch systems and all. We also learned that Warner Brothers Games is apparently going to be reevaluating and basically focusing more on Mortal Kombat, Batman, and DC in general, and Hogwarts Legacy moving forward. This after a financial report came out that turned out that Multiverse has not become as successful as they had hoped for, along with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, how those games, apparently they lost a lot of money. I remember hearing Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League was $200 million to make. Multiverse was like $100 million to make or something like that. So it's clear WB Games is re-examining how they do gaming and everything like that. And well, a lot of these free-to-play and live service is, some might argue, has been oversaturated, and it's very difficult to jump in and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly there are rumors that Microsoft may be planning to reveal the handheld device in 2025. This has to do with basically, and for those who are not familiar, there has been rumors that Microsoft may be entering the handheld space. There's reports that their next system might be one being the console and one being the handheld and all. Excuse me. Granted, we haven't heard anything from Nintendo, Microsoft just yet though, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll hear something in 2025, but time will ultimately tell. If a handheld system does exist from Microsoft, I am hoping this is one that can be played native systems and native games and not just streaming only and everything like that. We also learned that apparently there are some elements of Nintendo's basically why they filed, the lawsuit against the developers of Pal World and everything. Supposedly it has to do with certain things that Pal World was doing and all. Again, we'll see how far this lawsuit goes. Maybe it has some grounds, maybe it doesn't though. But one thing for certain is that we do know Nintendo is very, very notorious when it comes to protecting their IPs and all. And last but not least, we have just learned that Private Division has basically been sold to an unknown buyer. This has been confirmed by Take-Two Interactive. Apparently, the unknown buyer will have access to all the games under Private Division and any of the unannounced or unreleased games at this time, including one being developed by Game Freak. No word on who this buyer is or anything like that, but I am very curious to see who this buyer ends up to be, though. Hopefully it doesn't fall into the same problem like we saw with, with whole Embracer Group and how they were buying up THQ Nordic and all these studios, and then ever since that Saudi deal fell apart, they had to really lay off employees, cut some studios and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see who's the buyer of Private Division and all. And in the movie and TV show part of the My Two Cent, we also learned the box office records has been released for the upcoming Disney movie Momoa 2. So far it seems to be very good for it though, for Thanksgiving and everything. We'll see how it does during the Thanksgiving holiday and all. It might do well, it might not, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it clicks with audience, just like obviously the first one did, to be exact. We also learned that a new Star Wars trilogy is being in the works, and Simon Kingsburg is contributing to this new Star Wars trilogy and all. Supposedly it will be episode 10 through 12. It's supposedly not going to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, since that saga has already been completed though, although there may be some mentions of, some of the stuff from the past Star Wars movies and everything like that. No word on casting or story or anything like that, although I am kind of curious to see if they would if they're going to take a dip in the legacy Star Wars books that came out. I think maybe one of the villains, like the War Master or something like that, maybe a new set of villains, maybe not the Return of the Empire or the First Order or anything like that, because I think this time the Empire has already, played its role, but time will ultimately tell to see who the new villain might be in this new Star Wars trilogy. We also learned that Macaulay Culkin, the famous Home Alone actor that most of us may remember back in the 90s, is going to be in the second season of Fallout 2. Supposedly he's playing a crazy person or something like that. No, I don't know what the role is, but it's very interesting to see him making an appearance here and there on certain shows. He has kind of disappeared for a bit. I think there were some personal issues, but he has popped up here and there. Some shows. I think he's also published some games and everything like that. And I do remember him appearing on a Christmas special of the Angry Video Game Nerd. Basically, him being a pizza delivery guy, basically delivering the nerd different Home Alone games, like the awful looking ones though. So, but still, I am kind of curious to see basically how he's going to play his role in the second season of Fallout. And last but not least, we are learning that the Mass Effect TV series is in the works at Amazon and everything like that. Supposedly, some of the folks who worked on Fast and Furious is helping out with this though. No release date at this time. We'll see how well this one goes though. It could be a big breakout hit the way Fallout did, or it could get mixed response, sort of like the Yakuza series has recently gotten. But we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out and all. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part, we'll get started with our first story. And this one has to do with Nintendo releasing their financial report for this quarter and everything like that. Obviously, we got the one from Microsoft. I believe we already got one for Sony, and now we have Nintendo's. And some of it does seem to indicate, let's just say there's some good news that came out of it, but some, let's just say mixed. Obviously, I wouldn't go as far as say the Switch is a failure for Nintendo, but it's pretty clear that it's slowing down. The sales for the Switch are slowing down, mostly as we gear up supposedly for when Nintendo finally reveals the Switch 2 and all. So according to their financial reports though, as of right now, the Nintendo Switch has sold 146.04 units sold worldwide though. That's definitely impressive though. Supposedly it's still short for the PS2 lifetime sales, but nevertheless, that is still very impressive for Nintendo to be able to pull that off and everything like that. In terms of software, they have 1,306.10 million units sold worldwide, though. Not bad indeed. In terms of the top selling games, this is what they have. They have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 64.27 million units sold worldwide. Animal Crossing New Horizon at 46.45 million units sold worldwide. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 35.14 million units, I think so, again, sold worldwide. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 32.29 million units sold worldwide. Super Mario Odyssey at 28.50 million units. Pokemon Sword and Shield, that's both of them combined together, not separate, 26.44 million units. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, again, those are the 2 games together, at 25.69 million units. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at 21.4 million units sold. Super Mario Party, not the newest one, at 20.98 million units. And finally, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 17.77 million units. Not Super Mario Bros. Wonders and all. Although some of these games didn't make it on the list, we do have an update on some of the games, though. One, the Legend of Zelda Echo of Wisdom, the game that where you actually play as Zelda and all, that has, at least according to reports that have come out, is that it has surpassed 2 million units sold worldwide. Right now, it sits at basically 2.58 million units. Not bad or anything like that. Obviously not on the same scale as Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom in terms of the numbers that they have, but still not bad indeed though. So that certainly is very good for basically for a Zelda game like this that's not on the scales of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And finally, Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door on the Switch has already outsold the original GameCube. Currently, it had the lifetime sales of the GameCube one was at 1.91 million units sold on the GameCube. For the Thousand Year Door on the Nintendo Switch, it has surpassed it at 1.94 million units sold, plus 18K copies in 3 months. So obviously the remake is doing better. I mean, doing very good for Nintendo, assuming this is what they were expecting for this, though. And the fact that it's outselling the GameCube version, that certainly isn't bad. I'm hoping this opens the door for basically, I'm hoping this opens the doors for the basically that Nintendo will bring the Paper Mario series back, maybe learn from the mistakes from Sticker Star Saga, Color Splash, and Origami King. Maybe not be as experimental as they were, and like maybe try to keep the traditional RPG approach to it, like what they did with the Thousand Year Door. I mean, I'm not saying you can't shake up the formula here and there, but try not to go overboard with it, though. But as always, the Switch sales, even though it has done very well for Nintendo, it does seem to have basically it's coming to a crawl and everything like that. And basically one of these articles from Nintendo Life points out that they said, quote, "The downside of this console momentum has undoubtedly slowed down, selling just 2.64 million more units than the 143.42 reported in August this year." I mean, they're saying still for a console age. "The decrease year on year is rather startling, 31%. As such, Nintendo has revised its hardware forecast for the remainder of the fiscal year, decreasing previous estimated by 1 million to land at 12.5 million. So it's clear basically things are slowing down. I think some of that could be contributed to the fact that people are waiting to hear for the announcement of, the Switch successor or Switch 2 or whatever Nintendo is going to call it. And I don't blame them or anything like that. I can see why most people are waiting to hear that announcement and everything like that. Hopefully we'll hear that announcement soon, but obviously it's clear that the Switch is certainly slowing down. So overall, not a bad financial report from Nintendo, though. Switch is still selling well, but it's clear it's slowing down and everything like that, which isn't really surprising considering a lot of people are waiting for the Switch 2. Great to see, Tears of the Kingdom get it on the top 10 bestsellers, though, and it's nice to see that Zelda Echo of Wisdom and Paper Mario The Thousand Years Door, at least according to Nintendo, seem to have done very well indeed and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one, we're going to be talking about Nintendo's, basically, despite the financial report, about plans for the Switch 2 and confirmation of it being, backwards compatibility and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at basically regarding the Switch 2 in terms of Nintendo's plans to announce it, to even a feature that I think that a lot of us, let's just say, have been asking for, or at least in terms of backwards compatibility for the Nintendo Switch or the Switch 2 and everything like that. We'll start off first with the backwards compatibility part, though. Now, this was one of the questions that kind of has come up that a lot of us are wondering, will the Switch 2 be backwards compatible? Especially since we have been seeing more and more of a push for, the all-digital future and everything like that. Although there has been some pushback, as it does still show that physical media isn't completely going away or anything like that at all. So there has been some, let's just say, some pushback against that, though. Well, during the financial, during Nintendo's financial report, they can, or at least somewhat confirm that backwards compatibility will be for the Switch 2 and all. In an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, excuse me, that Nintendo has confirmed that the successor of the Switch will be backwards compatible and that Nintendo Online will carry over to the next-gen console. Announced during its financial results for H1 2024, the firm revealed that consumers will be able to play games for their current Switch library on the console. A broad selection of titles released for the Switch will also be available on its successor. The Nintendo president added that further information about backwards compatibility will be announced at a later date. In regards to Nintendo Online, the president said it was important to make use of the Nintendo account system and and therefore it and Nintendo Switch Online service will be available on the next Switch console and all. So in a way, this is kind of a confirmation that backwards compatibility is going to be on the Switch successor and all. But at the same time, I do think there are some questions that still need to be asked, though. Some of that is ranging from, like, basically, like, can we still play physical media for backwards compatibility games on the Nintendo Switch? What about those who may have, imported, Switch games, since the Nintendo Switch was region-free, and I'm hoping the Switch successor is region-free. Can we play those games, though? So there's still some questions that remain to be answered in regards of the backwards compatibility for the Switch 2. I mean, part of me is happy to hear this announcement. I think that's great, but there is still some questions that still need to be asked about in regards of the backwards compatibility for the Switch 2. Continuing on with Switch 2, supposedly it does seem, despite the financial report that came out or the financial earnings report that Nintendo put out for their Switch system and all, it doesn't seem like they're in a rush, at least at this time, to announce the Switch 2 and everything like that. In an article on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, as covered by Reuters, the president of Nintendo stated during an online press conference that there will be no change to Nintendo's current plans to announce the Switch 2 by the end of the fiscal year, March 2025. In other words, then, if you thought the Switch's sales will spur the company to reveal its successor, they're saying you might want to temper your expectation. Of course, an announcement could still arrive at any time, but it's seemingly increasingly unlikely to occur at 2024 at this point. A security analyst at Toyo, Toyo, has stated that making an announcement this year has gotten quite difficult. You would not want to divert attention to an upcoming console in the middle of a critical year-end shopping season. He notes that the company's share price will remain under pressure as investors look to write off a potential 2024 reveal. So, obviously, and I'm not entirely surprised by this in a way, unfortunate but not entirely shocked, it turns out to be we shouldn't expect the Nintendo Switch to be revealed this year and everything like that, though. Obviously, many are going to be wondering when Nintendo will reveal it. Though, many speculate they could reveal it anytime they want to. I mean, it is possible they could reveal it maybe at the end, maybe around December or something like that, but it's looking more and more likely 2025 is when they're going to start revealing it, though. When in 2025 remains to be seen. Maybe in January, maybe in February, though, but obviously it's looking more and more likely that basically Switch 2's reveal will probably happen in 2025 and all. So overall, I would say out of both of these things, I will say the backwards compatibility Switch, while good news though, there is still some questions that in regards of how backwards compatibility will work on the Switch successor. It remains to be seen on that one. And the fact that Nintendo has decided that this does not change their plans in terms of revealing the Switch 2, while a little bit unfortunate for those who are hoping for it to be announced this year, though. I guess we'll have to wait until next year and all. However, I am kind of curious to see when Nintendo will start revealing it. Maybe in January, maybe in February, or something like that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with the surprise release of Death Stranding on the Xbox Series X and S. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the unexpected and surprise announcement of Death Stranding, the first one coming to the Xbox Series X and S. Now, I will admit, this one kind of surprised me a lot to hear this announcement, because up to this point, a lot of Kojima's games have really been primarily on the PlayStation systems throughout the years, though. We've seen them, ranging from Metal Gear to Zone of Enders, though, but we have seen some of his games appear on other systems in the past, like some of the Metal Gear, like the Metal Gear collections, have made their way to other systems, including the Nintendo Switch, and some past Metal Gear games have also appeared on, Nintendo's platform and all. We also, games like Lunar Nights, Baccarat, if I'm saying the name correctly, The Sun's in Your Hand. So, but for the most part, a lot of it has been primarily on the PlayStation. Even after when Kojima left Konami to form his own studio, it had remained basically on just, Sony system and Sony system alone, especially when Death Stranding was announced a couple of years ago, which is sort of a odd game. Some folks like it, some folks hate it. It depends on your perspective and view on it, though. But there is certainly an audience for that game and everything like that. And when we finally saw it appear for the PC, at least for Game Pass PC, though, that was kind of interesting, and many wonder if it was going to appear on another system and everything like that. Obviously, at the time, since Sony supposedly owned the rights to Death Stranding, so it remained unlikely that was going to be the case and everything like that. However, we later learned this week, though, that basically Kojima Production has basically gained full control of the Death Stranding IP. The first one is this one from Nintendo Life points out that according to a report from Automation, developer Kojima Production has supposedly gained full control of the IP, thus significantly raising the possibility of even a release of even on more platforms later down the line. Certainly is interesting indeed, not to mention the fact that it's now available on the Xbox Series X and S. Basically, it is the Director's Cut edition, though. It's 50% discount on Xbox as of right now, though. So basically, to hear the Director's Cut, it's going to be the Director's Cut version, which is certainly great indeed. Unfortunately, as of right now, this game is not available on Game Pass, so unfortunately, you won't be able to try it out on Game Pass if you're hoping to be on Game Pass. But nevertheless, this is definitely kind of a very surprise announcement for them to make indeed. I mean, I did not expect them to make this kind of announcement at all in any shape, in any form. I was assuming that this game will never, the game would be exclusive to Sony's platform. So to see it come to the Nintendo Switch, to the Xbox Series system is certainly interesting indeed. It does throw into the question about Death Stranding 2 and all. Right now, we know that it is exclusive to the PS5 and, the PlayStation system. But given the fact that we now know that Death Stranding is now on the Xbox Series X and S, it does raise the possibility of will it basically come to, the Xbox Series X and S and all. I would say, and this is just my guess on the situation, if I had to take a guess on this, I'm going to say most likely I don't expect it to be a day-and-day release unless there was an Xbox version in development along with the PlayStation version. I don't expect it will. If Death Stranding 2 does come to the Xbox Series X and S, and given the fact that Kojima Production owns the IP, more than likely will, I expect we'll hear it from years down the road before we even see that happen and everything like that. As far as the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo platform goes, I would say if I had to take a guess, and this is just me taking a guess basically on this, I would say unlikely for the current Switch at this time. I do think there is a possibility it could come to the Switch 2 or Switch successor, whatever Nintendo decides to call it, though. Don't know if Death Stranding 2 it will make its way to the Switch 2, but if somehow they manage to bring Death Stranding 2 to the Xbox Series X and S, and they can get it to run well on the Series S, and given some of the rumors seem to indicate that the Switch 2 could be close to being as powerful as the Series S, then it's by no means not out of the realm of possibility. But Time will ultimately tell if that happens, but overall, I would say this is definitely a surprise indeed to see the fact that Death Stranding is making its way to the Xbox Series X and S. That is something I don't think anybody have us expected though. And if the game does well on the Xbox Series S and S, if it does, then I do think it kind of opens the door to the possibility, given depending on the exclusivity issue, and given if this is correct that they now fully own the IP, if the first game does well, then it definitely opens the door to the possibility that the sequel could make its way over to the Xbox Series X and S. That said, if that does happen, I still stand behind my position that it's probably going to be years away before we see it come to the other systems and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part, and this one has to do with third-party support for the Switch 2 and what Nintendo might be doing to try to get third-party support and everything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video. And for this one, I want to take a look at third-party support, particularly for the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 or Switch successor, though. Now, third-party support for the Nintendo platform in general has been, I would say, mixed at best. There have been some times when the relationship has been good, other times it hasn't been great and everything like that. Looking at the Wii U, for example, third-party support was not that great, especially after learning how the Wii U did not become the success Nintendo had hoped for, though. As far as the Nintendo Switch goes, I would say third-party support certainly was improved and certainly was better than it was during the Wii U era, but still not there, to be exact. Some of it is developers weren't key to supporting the system, especially after what happened with the Wii U and when the Switch sort of became the success. Some of them sort of came out and realized they missed that opportunity. They regret that decision and everything like that, though. So there's a reason why not every game made its way over to it's one of many reasons why not every game made its way over to the Nintendo Switch and everything like that. And so it was going to be interesting to see whether or not third-party support would be there for the Switch 2 and all. And at least according to an article from Nintendo Life, it does seem to indicate Nintendo is trying to improve that in a way to make sure that the Switch 2 does have, or the Switch successor does have, let's just say, good third-party support and everything. In an article, as I pointed to, Nintendo, basically in terms of Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, Nintendo has experienced moments throughout its history when it had to rely exclusively on its first-party content to get by, but thankfully things improved during the Switch generation, with many major third-party publishers showing their support for the hybrid device. This has been highlighted in the Japanese firm's latest financial result, with the company explaining how one of the major changes it's made this generation is the relationship it had with these other software publishers, knowing how significant improvement has been made in terms of development environment and support for the developers. It mentions, one of the comments was, thanks to these efforts, our partnership with software publishers are now much stronger than ever before. And they point out several different publishers, including Microsoft, to be exact, considering that Microsoft is, Microsoft, has been more open to putting their games on other systems, not to mention they own Activision Blizzard and all. Anyway, moving on. As a result, its partnerships with third parties have blossomed and are now stronger than ever, with Switch receiving wide-range release from publishers like Microsoft, Electronic Arts, though I think that's questionable to a certain extent, Bandai Namco, Capcom, and Epic Games. Some of the comments they mention, are, as a result, about half of the software units sold since the fiscal year ends March 2021 are titles released by other software publishers. This figure does not include the numerous download-only titles that have been released by software publishers. Sales for both first-party titles and those released by other software publishers continue to achieve high levels of sales, and so forth. So they point out some of the titles that have third-party titles that have done very well on the the Nintendo Switch, ranging from Hogwarts Legacy to Minecraft and Sonic Shadows as well. So clearly, Nintendo is working. They point out that this was achieved by opening a Nintendo Developer Portal, a dedicated site for developers and publishers to make it easy for creators to develop software on Switch. Nintendo has also assisted third parties by providing various middlewares, including commonly used game engines like Unity, Unreal, and more affordable development kits. So clearly Nintendo wants to go into the Switch 2 in a better position with third-party publishers and developers, which to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, I think Nintendo's first-party software and everything like that are great and all, but I also do believe you need to have some form of third-party support to at least, fill in that gap as you wait for those first-party releases and everything. So if this is the case, and if what Nintendo is saying is true, that definitely is an improvement over from where they were during, the Wii U era. Now, how it will play out during the Switch 2 or the Switch successor era, that remains to be seen, but I'm hoping that this will be done. Hopefully this will lead to more third-party support and maybe bringing their games more over to the Switch, maybe day-and-day release. Obviously, we need to know what's in the Switch 2's hardware in terms of how it's going to utilize DLSS, if it's going to use that or not. So we still have to hear more about the hardware and exactly what's going to be in the system and everything like that. But it does sound like they are improving third-party support and everything like that. So that certainly is good news indeed. So overall, assuming what we're reading is correctly, great that we're seeing more support for third-party developers to bring their games over to the Nintendo platform. This does seem to indicate they're doing that to try to get ready for when the Switch 2 is finally revealed and everything like that. So assuming I'm reading this correctly, it does sound like we could see more third-party support for the Switch successor and the or the Switch 2, whatever Nintendo refers to call it, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Nintendo's financial report, though? Do you think that the lower than expected in terms of the hardware forecast, though? Do you think that Nintendo that this is an indication that they need to talking about the Switch 2 now? Or do you think it's right for them to stay on course in terms of when they feel like they want to announce and everything like that? Are you pleased with the sales results for Legend of Zelda Echo of Wisdom and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door? What are your thoughts about, the backwards compatibility for the Nintendo Switch, for the Switch 2 and everything like that? Are you pleased with this announcement? Are there some questions you have in regards to how backwards compatibility will work on the Switch successor? And do you think, as I mentioned before, do you think it's right for Nintendo to not change course when it comes to announcing the Switch 2 in any way, or do you think they should announce it now? What are your thoughts about Death Stranding making a surprise appearance on Xbox, though? Were you surprised by this announcement? Are you pleased to see this game come to the Xbox Series X and S? Do you think this opens the door to the possibility that Death Stranding 2 could make its way over to the Xbox Series X and X? And what do you think of Nintendo's approach for third-party support for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is an improvement compared to how it was throughout the years in every way, though? Do you think we'll see strong third-party support for the Switch 2 or the Switch successor? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.